Beloved chosen one. If these words have reached you, it is not by coincidence. The Spirit has a way of guiding us into places we may not expect, leading us to hear exactly what we need in the quiet moment of now. You may have been scrolling, you may have been searching, or perhaps you simply sat down seeking rest for your soul. Yet, here you are. This message is not loud, it does not shout, it does not demand. Instead, it comes as a whisper, a gentle stirring within your spirit that says, listen. There is a reason why you feel different, a reason why the world has always felt slightly off to you, like a garment that doesn't quite fit. You've walked among many, yet you have always known that you were not meant to blend in completely. This quiet knowing, though sometimes heavy, is a gift. It is the mark of the chosen. God's chosen are not chosen for comfort, nor for recognition in the eyes of men. They are chosen for refinement, for depth, for the unseen work that requires patience, endurance, and an open spirit. If this video finds you today, it is because you are walking a narrow road, one that many overlook, but one that heaven watches closely. Perhaps you felt weary. The road of the chosen one is not always smooth. It is filled with lessons, with silence, with tests that seem invisible to others. But in these very moments of solitude, God's presence draws nearest. The world may not notice the battles you fight within yourself, but heaven does. The unseen victories, the quiet prayers you've whispered with tears in your eyes, the strength it takes to rise each morning when your soul feels heavy. None of this is forgotten. You may have wondered, why me? Why was I given this path? Why do I feel things others do not feel? The answer is simple yet profound, because your soul carries a light too important to be dimmed by the distractions of the world. You were never meant to walk in the ways of the crowd. You were meant to carry a presence, a stillness, and a clarity that serves as a reminder of God's divine order in a noisy, chaotic world. In this message, I want to walk with you, slowly, gently, through truths that often go unnoticed. These are not dramatic revelations. They are not mysteries meant to startle or excite. They are soft truths, the kind that rest in the soul, nourishing you like still water. So I invite you now, chosen one, breathe. Release the tension in your chest. Rest your shoulders. You do not need to strive in this moment. This time is for you, for your soul to remember, to be reminded, to realign with the one who has called you. As we walk through this message, we will look at 7 truths, not grand, not loud, but deeply important, about what it means to be chosen and how to live in that awareness every day. Let this not be a rush of words, but a slow unfolding. Allow the words to sink into you as gently as sunlight through a window. Let us begin. Number 1. The chosen are often hidden. Chosen one. Let's slow down and really sit with this truth. God hides his chosen ones not to deny them, but to protect and refine them. Many mistake the hidden season for punishment, but in reality it's the quiet classroom of heaven where your soul is prepared for the weight of your calling. Think of it like a seed buried in the soil. On the surface it looks forgotten, but underground, it's developing unseen roots that will one day sustain a mighty tree. Without that hidden time in the dark, the tree could never stand tall when storms come. Throughout history, this divine pattern repeats itself. Before David was king, he was tending sheep in the fields, overlooked by his own family, yet God was training him to face lions and bears so he could one day face Goliath. Joseph was hidden in prison before he was revealed in Pharaoh's palace. Even Jesus himself spent 30 years in quiet obscurity before 3 years of public ministry that would change eternity. If the Son of God had a hidden season, how much more should we expect that God would shelter and prepare us before revealing us to the world? The hidden season often feels like isolation, but in truth, it's insulation. God keeps you from voices, influences, and even opportunities that would distract or destroy you before your spirit is ready. Sometimes he removes certain people from your circle not because you don't deserve connection, but because the wrong company can sabotage destiny. A diamond doesn't form in the open. It forms under pressure, in darkness, away from sight. And when the time is right, it is brought forth shining, cut, and set for display. That's what's happening to you. Science even echoes this spiritual principle. Neuroscientists explain that growth in the brain often happens in silence, when the mind is at rest. Seeds germinate in darkness, caterpillars transform in cocoons, and embryos develop in the hidden safety of the womb. Everything powerful begins hidden, and everything hidden is a sign that life is being prepared for revelation. Your hidden season is not a delay, it's divine timing. But here's the part that makes this journey truly unique. God hides you not only for protection, but also for refinement. Refinement is uncomfortable because it exposes what needs to be healed, disciplined, or reshaped within you. A chosen one cannot step into destiny carrying old wounds, unchecked pride, or untested character. That's why, in your hidden season, you'll notice God allowing you to face small battles, private tests, and personal lessons. These are rehearsals for the great stage ahead. The world might not see your victories now, but heaven is recording every act of faithfulness, every tear you've cried, and every prayer whispered in the quiet. And yes, it can feel lonely. You might look around and see others being celebrated, elevated, and displayed, while you remain in obscurity. But don't mistake visibility for value. A treasure is often locked away, not because it is worthless, but because it is priceless. You, chosen one, are being kept for an appointed time. God isn't ignoring you, He's reserving you. He knows the exact moment when the world needs what you carry, and when that door opens, no one will be able to shut it. So while you're hidden, lean into it. Use this season to pray deeper, learn more, strengthen your spirit, and sharpen your gifts. Don't rush the process. Embrace it. Because when your revealing comes, it will not just be about you. It will be about the lives you were hidden to impact, the people waiting for your voice, your wisdom, and your courage. God doesn't waste seasons, and He certainly won't waste yours. Remember this: hidden doesn't mean forgotten. Buried doesn't mean dead. Preparation doesn't mean punishment. You are being refined, protected, and built for something greater than you can see right now. And when the curtain finally lifts, the world will not just meet you. They will meet the God who shaped you in secret. Number 2. Sensitivity is a spiritual gift. What the world often labels as being too sensitive is not a flaw, nor is it a sign of weakness. Chosen one, that deep sensitivity you carry is actually a spiritual gift, an inner antenna that picks up on things most people overlook. You are not fragile, you are finely tuned. Just like a radio can catch frequencies that the naked ear cannot detect, your spirit is designed to discern invisible currents, energies, emotions, intentions, and even divine whispers. This is why certain environments feel overwhelming, why you notice tension in a room before anyone speaks, and why words pierce your heart in ways others shrug off. Sensitivity is your direct connection to the unseen, a built-in compass guiding you through a world filled with hidden forces. Science itself supports this truth in surprising ways. Researchers studying highly sensitive persons, HSPs, have found that their brains are wired differently. Their nervous systems process stimuli more deeply, registering subtleties in light, sound, body language, and emotional tone. But what science calls heightened sensitivity, the spiritual realm recognizes as discernment. This gift allows you to distinguish truth from deception, peace from chaos, and purity from corruption. Where others see only the surface, you perceive the undercurrents. In a noisy, distracted world, this sensitivity gives you an edge, allowing you to move with wisdom when others stumble blindly. Think of the prophets and visionaries throughout history, people mocked as too much, too strange, or too emotional. Yet, their sensitivity was precisely what attuned them to God's voice. They wept when others laughed, warned when others ignored, and stood firm when others compromised. Sensitivity allowed them to feel heaven's pull and earth's pain at the same time. Chosen ones carry that same double vision, the ability to sense what is happening in the spiritual realm while still living in the physical. It is not weakness to feel deeply. It is evidence that you are alive to things beyond the ordinary. This gift also explains why you cannot tolerate what others easily accept. Certain music feels toxic to your soul, certain conversations drain you, and certain people leave you unsettled long after they are gone. Your discernment isn't paranoia, it is protection. Just as animals sense danger before a storm or earthquake, Your spirit senses when something is off, warning you to step back before harm reaches you. This is not about fear, but about divine preservation. Many chosen ones discover, often the hard way, that ignoring these inner nudges leads to unnecessary pain. But when you honor them, you find yourself shielded from traps that would have destroyed others. Of course, the world won't always understand. People may call you overdramatic, paranoid, or weak. But understand this, people mock what they do not comprehend. They ridicule sensitivity because they are numb, desensitized by noise, entertainment, and distractions. They cannot fathom carrying a spirit that feels the weight of both light and darkness pressing in. But your sensitivity is proof that you are awake in a world lulled to sleep. You are not here to fit in with the numb masses. You are here to stand as a living reminder that there is more to life than what meets the eye. So, chosen one, wear your sensitivity with honor. Instead of suppressing it, learn to refine it. Sensitivity without wisdom can feel like a burden, but sensitivity sharpened by discernment becomes a weapon. It makes you compassionate yet discerning, loving yet cautious, and humble yet unshakably strong. When people dismiss you as too sensitive, smile quietly and remember, they are admitting they cannot perceive what you can. What they call fragility is actually your superpower. Your divine antenna is tuned to a higher frequency, and that, more than anything else, sets you apart as chosen. Number 3. Solitude is a classroom. Loneliness often visits the chosen ones, and while the world may see it as a burden, it is in fact a sacred invitation. Many people confuse solitude with emptiness, assuming that being alone must mean being void of love, meaning, or purpose. But for the chosen one, solitude is not a punishment. It is a divine classroom. In this classroom, there are no textbooks, no professors, and no peers. Instead, there is silence, and in that silence, God Himself writes directly on the canvas of your heart. This is why chosen ones are often separated from crowds, relationships, and distractions. They are being prepared in private for a purpose too great to be taught in the noise of the world. Think about history's most profound figures, prophets, saints, visionaries, and leaders. Before they stepped into their roles, almost all endured seasons of isolation. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading his people. Jesus himself went into the wilderness for 40 days before beginning his ministry. Even modern spiritual thinkers speak of their most transformative revelations arriving not during celebration, but during solitude. Science backs this up too. Studies in psychology reveal that solitude, when embraced intentionally, increases self-awareness, creativity, and emotional resilience. So while the world runs from loneliness, the chosen one learns to sit with it, to drink from its well, and to discover treasures buried within silence. This loneliness isn't just about being physically alone, it's about the soul recognizing that it does not fully belong to the structures of this world. Chosen ones often feel like strangers even in a crowded room. They can laugh, talk, and socialize, but deep within, they feel a pull that says, you are meant for something beyond this. That sense of not belonging is not a flaw. It's evidence that your spirit is tuned to a higher frequency. In fact, research in neuroscience shows that the brain processes solitude differently for people with high levels of empathy and introspection. For chosen ones, alone time is not draining but recharging. It's where they recalibrate their inner compass. But solitude is not always comfortable. At times it feels like abandonment. Friends may fade away, relationships may crumble, and doors that once opened easily may slam shut. Yet chosen ones come to realize that these losses are actually divine subtractions. God is making room, removing noise so that His voice can be heard clearly. Without this stripping away, the chosen one might never develop the inner strength needed for their mission. In solitude, you learn patience, you learn discernment, and you learn to hear whispers others cannot. As poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The highest form of love is to be the protector of another's solitude." And in a way, God protects the chosen one by gifting them solitude, even when they resist it. It is in these quiet seasons that spiritual muscles are built. Think of solitude as weight training for the soul. Every moment you endure without external validation strengthens your ability to walk in purpose without needing applause. Every tear shed in the night becomes a seed watered by God Himself, destined to bloom into wisdom, compassion, and unshakable faith. The chosen one emerges from solitude not bitter but refined, carrying insights that cannot be taught in classrooms or downloaded from the internet. So if loneliness has been knocking at your door, don't fear it. Instead, recognize it for what it truly is, a sacred appointment with God. It is an invitation into deeper awareness, higher clarity, and divine intimacy. Solitude is not where chosen ones are forgotten. It is where they are written into eternity. Remember this: diamonds are formed in pressure, pearls in hidden shells, and chosen ones in sacred solitude. What feels like isolation is actually consecration. And when the season ends, you will step out not just as someone who survived loneliness, but as someone who carries the wisdom of God etched into their very soul. Number 4. The world will misunderstand you. Chosen. 1. Here's the truth. Your walk, your path, your way of moving through this world, it will not make sense to many people. And that misunderstanding, that puzzled look in their eyes when they watch how you carry yourself, is not rejection of you. It is, in fact, a sign that you are walking to a rhythm most cannot hear. You are tuned into a frequency beyond the noise of the world, and those who have never heard that music will always think you are walking off beat. But what they call strange is often sacred, and what they dismiss as different is, more often than not, divine alignment. Think about this for a moment. History has always shown us that those chosen to lead, to awaken, or to transform were never understood in their own time. Prophets, visionaries, revolutionaries, they were laughed at, mocked, doubted, and often even persecuted. Not because they were wrong, but because they were ahead. Imagine trying to explain electricity to someone in the Middle Ages. They would likely accuse you of witchcraft. And yet, the strange ones are the ones who brought the world forward. In the same way, your steps might look confusing to others because you are guided by insight, wisdom, and conviction that come from a higher place, not from worldly approval. Science even supports this idea. Studies on human behavior and social psychology show that people who deviate from the norm are often misunderstood because the human brain is wired to find comfort in patterns. When someone walks differently, whether literally or metaphorically, it challenges the group's sense of predictability. That's why innovators, introverts, and deep thinkers often find themselves on the margins. It's not rejection. It's the natural discomfort of the collective when confronted with something unfamiliar. The paradox, however, is that the unfamiliar is usually what the world needs most. Chosen one, your rhythm is not random. Think of it like this. When a drummer in a marching band plays off from the rest, people assume it's a mistake, unless they realize he's following a conductor they cannot see. You too are following a conductor unseen by the crowd. That misstep they see is actually a divine step, perfectly timed to a higher order. And while others may not see the bigger picture, you know that you are being positioned, prepared, and propelled toward something greater than their approval. But here's the part many overlook. You will not only be misunderstood, you may even be ridiculed. People will whisper, "Why don't they fit in? Why do they move differently? Why are they so distant, so focused, so untouchable?" They won't realize that you are protecting your spirit, conserving your energy, and aligning with a mission bigger than popularity. Fitting in has never been your calling. Chosen ones are not born to blend into the crowd, they are born to shift it. And shifting the crowd often means walking in the opposite direction first. There is also a spiritual principle at work here. Scripture and sacred texts across cultures speak of the narrow path, the way fewer walk, the way misunderstood by many, but the way that leads to truth. The majority will always take the wide road of conformity, but chosen ones feel an inner pull to something deeper, something truer. This pull is not logical, and that's why people around you may not get it. They want to measure your steps with their rulers of success. But your journey is not built on their measurements. It's written on a scroll they were never given to read. So, chosen one, don't be discouraged when your walk seems strange to the crowd. Don't shrink yourself to match their pace. Remember, eagles don't explain their flight to pigeons, and rivers don't ask permission from stones to keep flowing. Your rhythm is sacred, your walk is purposeful, and your steps are divinely ordered. When they misunderstand you, it is not rejection. It is confirmation that you are tuned to a higher rhythm, a rhythm not everyone was chosen to hear. Number 5. Small acts carry eternal weight. In the kingdom, nothing is wasted. Every prayer, every gentle word, and every act of kindness carries eternal significance unseen by human eyes. This truth is both humbling and empowering because it reminds the chosen one that life is not measured merely by visible outcomes or human recognition. The smallest offering, when done in love and truth, becomes a seed planted in eternity. Imagine the ripple effect of a single kind gesture, the smile you gave to a stranger, the word of encouragement you whispered to someone who was ready to give up, or even the silent prayer you offered in a moment of compassion. Science has shown us through studies on emotional energy and human interaction that kindness not only elevates mood, but also physically alters the brain, releasing oxytocin, the so-called love hormone. What seems small to us shifts atmospheres, and in the divine order of things, it carries weight beyond imagination. Think of it like this. When a drop of water falls into a still pond, it may look like nothing more than a small splash. But if you look closer, concentric ripples spread outward, reaching far beyond the original point of contact. So it is in the spiritual realm. That single prayer you whispered in the quiet, even when you thought no one heard, creates ripples in the unseen kingdom. Ancient wisdom across cultures affirms this. In Christianity, it is said, "A cup of cold water given in my name will not lose its reward." In Buddhism, the law of karma teaches that every action generates a corresponding effect, and in quantum physics we find the startling truth that observation itself influences matter, hinting that our thoughts, intentions, and unseen energy carry greater impact than we perceive. This is why the chosen ones are urged to remain faithful in the small things. You may wonder why you endure seasons of invisibility, where your good deeds go unnoticed, where your words of truth are ignored, and your sacrifices remain uncelebrated. But invisibility in the world does not mean insignificance in the kingdom. In fact, it is in those very hidden places that your influence becomes the strongest. Like roots beneath the soil, unseen by the eye, yet holding up the entire tree, your unseen prayers and actions sustain a spiritual ecosystem larger than you realize. And just as roots eventually produce fruit, so too will your hidden faithfulness bear visible results in time. It is fascinating to note that scientists studying altruism have discovered something remarkable. Acts of generosity not only benefit the receiver, but profoundly strengthen the giver. Neural pathways tied to joy and fulfillment light up when a person helps another. This isn't accidental. It is coded into creation itself. The kingdom has designed life so that giving multiplies, kindness spreads, and love creates momentum. What looks like loss becomes gain. What looks wasted becomes eternal. Chosen one, the challenge is to see beyond what is visible. The world teaches you to measure worth by applause, money, or recognition. But the kingdom operates on a higher law. Nothing given in sincerity is wasted. Even your tears, shed in moments of solitude, are said to be collected like precious jewels before the throne of God. They water the seeds of destiny you cannot yet see. And every gentle word you've spoken, every selfless act you've carried out is like a stone laid in the foundation of a temple not built by human hands. So, walk with courage. Continue sowing seeds of light, even when the night feels endless. Your life is a living testimony that eternity remembers what time often forgets. And when the day comes for the veil to be lifted, you will see the tapestry woven from every hidden deed, every whispered prayer, and every act of kindness you thought was too small to matter. Nothing was wasted, not a single thing, not a single. Number 6. Silence is a language of the Spirit. You do not always need to speak, chosen one. In fact, some of the greatest power you carry comes not from your tongue, but from your silence. History itself shows us that quiet presence often speaks louder than 1,000 speeches. Think of the monks who spent decades in silence, yet their peace transformed entire communities. Or the great leaders who didn't need to shout to be heard because their aura alone carried authority. Your stillness holds weight, and your calm is a language the world desperately needs to hear. In a world that thrives on noise, where everyone is rushing to post, comment, argue, or prove a point, your silence unsettles people. Why? Because silence cannot be debated. It isn't up for argument, nor does it bend to opinion. It simply is. Silence is not weakness, but rather discipline, wisdom, and restraint. Modern psychology even confirms this. Studies show that individuals who are comfortable with silence are often perceived as more confident, trustworthy, and mysterious. When you refrain from rushing to fill the air with words, you give others room to reveal themselves. Many times they end up disclosing more than they intended, exposing their insecurities, motives, and even hidden truths. This is a subtle yet profound form of power that the world rarely acknowledges. Consider the courtroom. While lawyers may argue endlessly, the judge doesn't need to shout. A simple pause, a quiet presence, or a measured word can shift the entire room. The same is true for you, chosen one. Your silence isn't emptiness, it is a statement. It carries depth because it comes from a place of self-mastery. You are not reacting impulsively. You are choosing to conserve energy and speak only when necessary. This is something few can do in an age where attention is currency. Even spiritually, silence has always been regarded as sacred. Across traditions, stillness is considered a bridge to the divine. The Bible tells us in Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." In Eastern philosophy, silence is central to meditation, teaching that in quietness, the soul touches truth. The Desert Fathers of early Christianity retreated into silence to draw closer to God, believing that words often distract from the divine voice. In Buddhism, monks take vows of silence to cultivate mindfulness and inner peace. Across cultures, silence has never been emptiness. It has always been fullness, a vessel where wisdom and divine presence overflow. Silence also has measurable effects on the human brain. Neuroscience research shows that 2 hours of silence a day can lead to the growth of new cells in the hippocampus, the region linked with memory, learning, and emotion. Silence lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, allowing the body to recover and restore balance. This means your calmness doesn't just affect others. It heals you. It strengthens your mind, sharpens your focus, and allows your spirit to remain aligned with purpose. This is why silence is not passive. It is active restoration. Yet, society often misunderstands silence. People confuse it with weakness, avoidance, or a lack of intelligence. But history proves otherwise. Mahatma Gandhi, though a man of great speeches, often practiced silence to renew his spirit and maintain clarity. Albert Einstein once said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." Silence births creation. It is the womb of innovation, revelation, and strength. Your silence, chosen one, is magnetic. It unsettles those who rely on noise to cover their own emptiness, yet it comforts those who long for peace in a restless world. That is why people are drawn to you, even if they cannot explain why. They sense your calm and gravitate toward it, as if your presence offers a refuge from the chaos of life. This is no small gift. In truth, it is more valuable than gold. So never feel pressured to always explain yourself, to defend every opinion, or to prove your worth through endless talking. Truth does not need defending, it needs living. When you walk into a room, your silence speaks louder than words. I know who I am, and I do not need to announce it. That is authority in its purest form. True authority is never loud. It is steady, grounded, and undeniable. And remember this, when you master the art of saying nothing, you often say everything. Silence is a language only the wise can truly understand. It is a shield, a sword, and a sanctuary all at once. It is how you preserve your energy, protect your spirit, and project your true essence without lifting a finger. In silence, you embody the truth that some of the greatest battles are not won with words, but with presence. Chosen one, never underestimate the power of your stillness. In a noisy world, your silence is a rare and priceless treasure. It is not empty. It is full of faith, full of wisdom, full of divine confidence. Hold it close, carry it with dignity, and let the world discover that sometimes the loudest sound of all is silence. Number 7. The narrow road is the safest road. Though it feels restrictive, the narrow path protects your soul from the noise of destruction. It is not limitation, it is preservation. Chosen one, you may have noticed that while the world seems to run wild in every direction, your spirit is constantly being guided back to a straighter way. At times it feels unfair. You watch others indulge freely, experiment recklessly, and chase after desires without restraint. Yet you find yourself blocked, redirected, or even stripped of opportunities that once seemed appealing. This is not punishment. This is divine preservation. Just as a shepherd keeps sheep from wandering off a cliff, the narrow path fences you in so that you don't lose yourself in illusions that promise freedom but deliver bondage. When you pause and reflect, the wisdom of this path becomes clearer. Many of the open roads the world celebrates often lead to hidden traps: addiction, brokenness, regret, and cycles of emptiness. The narrow way, however, is designed to cultivate inner strength. Even in psychology, research shows that restraint and discipline create resilience. A famous study from Stanford, known as the marshmallow test, revealed that children who could delay gratification, choosing one marshmallow now or waiting to receive two later, were more likely to achieve long-term success in adulthood. What seemed like restriction at the time was actually training in patience, vision, and control. Spiritually, the same principle applies. The narrow path disciplines your will so that your destiny is not sabotaged by temporary cravings. Science also affirms the power of limited choices. Decision fatigue, a concept studied extensively in behavioral psychology, demonstrates that too many options overwhelm the mind, leading to anxiety and poor judgment. The narrow path reduces that noise. By eliminating distractions, it allows you to focus your energy, conserve your mental strength, and sharpen your spiritual discernment. While the crowd may see this as a lack of freedom, you experience something far greater: clarity. With fewer detours, your soul is preserved for the higher calling God placed within you. Think of it like a seed buried in the earth. The soil is tight, the space is narrow, yet that very pressure directs the seed upward, forcing it to break through and reach the light. Without that confinement, the seed would never grow roots deep enough to sustain its future height. In the same way, your journey may feel restrictive, but it is creating depth, endurance, and purpose within you. What the world calls limitation is in fact divine architecture, shaping you into someone who can withstand storms without breaking. Chosen one, if this message has reached you, it is not by chance. It is a reminder that the solitude, silence, and redirections you endure are not evidence of abandonment, but alignment. God has set your feet on a path that may be lonely, but it is holy. Every barrier you face is a shield in disguise. Every door that closed was a rescue, not a rejection. And every step you take along this narrow road is celebrated in heaven. So walk with peace, do not rush. Keep your soul still before God. The world may not understand, but your journey was never meant for their approval. You are chosen, and chosen you will remain.